The mystery of Snippy. The mysterious case of Snippy, the Appaloosa horse whose strange and unexplained passing captivated the world in the late 1960s, remains one of the most talked about mysteries in American history. The story began in the quiet and isolated San Luis Valley of southern Colorado, where on the 27th of September 1967, a horse named Lady, later renamed Snippy by her owner Nellie Lewis, was found in a condition so unusual that it defied every logical explanation offered at the time. What began as a local curiosity soon became a global phenomenon, with scientists, journalists, and even UFO researchers descending upon the remote valley in search of answers that would never truly come. Lady belonged to Nellie's sister, but was cared for by Harry King, who lived nearby with his elderly mother, Agnes. Lady was a gentle creature of habit, always coming to the fence for her daily water and treats. When she failed to appear one morning, Harry grew concerned and set out across the field to find her. What he discovered has since entered the annals of unexplained history. Lady was lying on her side, her head stripped completely clean to the bone. The edges of the wounds appeared unnaturally precise, smooth, and without the tearing or gnawing marks that would indicate the work of scavengers. A sharp chemical scent, described as similar to acetone, hung in the air around the carcass. When Nellie Lewis arrived at the ranch after being called by Harry, she was shocked by what she saw. The horse's bones looked as though they had been exposed to sunlight for years, yet the flesh remaining at the neck was still pliable. There was no odor of decay, and no insects or scavenging animals had touched the body. Even more strange was that Lady's footprints stopped roughly 100 feet away from where the remains were found, as if the horse had simply vanished and reappeared in that spot. Surrounding the site, the Lewises discovered a series of 15 circular burn marks in the ground, as well as several flattened bushes that seemed to have been pressed down evenly, as though by an unseen force. Nearby, Nellie found several curious objects, small gelatin-like green blobs and a piece of metallic material covered with horsehair. When she handled them, her hands began to burn until she could wash them. There were no other footprints in the area, except for those belonging to the people she knew had been there later. The scene felt charged with a strange, unsettling energy. When the local sheriff, Ben Phillips, arrived, he quickly declared the incident the result of a lightning strike, though weather records from the time showed no storms in the area. Days later, a United States Forest Service employee named Dwayne Martin arrived with a Geiger counter to measure radiation levels. To everyone's surprise, the readings around the burn marks, as well as on the metallic object and green residue, were above normal, strong evidence that something extraordinary had occurred. Soon, other bizarre events were reported in the San Luis Valley. Local residents described glowing orbs, strange humming sounds, and objects in the sky that defied explanation. A college student said his car tires burst as he approached a glowing object in a nearby field, and 2 sheriff's deputies reported being followed by an orange globe before being warned not to speak of it. The area became a hotspot for unexplained aerial activity. One of the most fascinating turns in the investigation came when Dr. John Altshuler, an award-winning pathologist, was found trespassing at the nearby Great Sand Dunes at night. He later admitted he had been watching the skies for strange activity. When local officers learned of his expertise in blood coagulation, they persuaded him to examine Lady's remains. His findings deepened the mystery further. Altshuler observed that the horse's lungs, heart, and thyroid were missing, along with several other organs, all removed with remarkable precision. There was no blood anywhere, neither on the ground nor on the body itself. The edges of the wounds were dark and smooth, almost as if they had been sealed by heat, but no cauterizing technology capable of producing such clean results existed in 1967. He described the cuts as surgical and noted that the absence of blood was inexplicable, given his experience in hundreds of autopsies. The strange case drew the attention of national and international media. Reporters from the Associated Press, United Press International, the London Times, and numerous magazines and UFO organizations traveled to the small Colorado town to see the site for themselves. The Aerial Phenomena Research Organization, known for investigating unexplained aerial incidents, even placed a guard at the property while conducting its own inquiry. Locals recalled seeing strange aircraft, including small black jets and glowing red-orange rings that moved across the sky in triangular formations, emitting a faint humming sound. Even a respected Denver judge, Charles E. Bennett, and his wife claimed to have seen 3 such lights hovering near the area. To many residents, these sightings were proof that Lady's demise was linked to something far beyond human understanding. In the aftermath, Lady's remains, by then referred to simply as Snippy, took on a life of their own. Her skeleton was cleaned, wired together, and displayed by the Alamosa Chamber of Commerce before eventually passing through several private hands. For decades, her bones became an artifact of one of the most enduring mysteries in American folklore. Today, the legacy of Snippy lives on in the San Luis Valley, where UFO enthusiasts still gather at the nearby Great Sand Dunes National Park and the famous UFO Watchtower, hoping to glimpse the same forces that may have visited half a century ago. The mysterious stone from outer space. In 1908, a quiet Canadian town became the setting of one of the most extraordinary and mysterious events ever recorded. A 14-year-old boy named Willie McKinnon experienced what many would later call a miraculous encounter with something not of this earth. While working in his father's garden one Thursday morning, Willie became a witness to a cosmic event that would forever be remembered as the story of the strange stone. At around 11:30 that morning, Willie heard a deep, rumbling noise that echoed across the landscape. The sound lasted for several minutes and seemed to grow louder as time went on. Believing it to be the distant roar of a train, he paid it little attention until the ground beneath him began to tremble. Without warning, a fiery object streaked across the sky and crashed into the soil just 8 feet away from where he stood. The impact was so powerful that it shook the earth like a small earthquake, sending a wave of dust and debris into the air. Startled and frightened, Willie ran into the house to tell his parents what had happened. When they rushed outside to investigate, they discovered a smouldering crater in the garden. In the center of it sat a large stone, roughly 10 inches wide, glowing faintly from the heat of its descent. The air was thick with the scent of burning earth, and the rock itself was so hot that it could not be touched for more than half an hour. As the family stood around the crater, it became clear that something truly remarkable had occurred. When the strange stone finally cooled, the McKinnons examined it more closely and were astonished by what they found. The surface of the meteorite was smooth in some places, but etched with precise, deliberate markings in others. These markings resembled hieroglyphics, small, intricate symbols carved into the stone as though they had been inscribed by intelligent hands. The lines were straight and uniform, unlike anything that could have been created by natural forces. Even more unusual was the way the carvings seemed to form patterns, as if telling a story or conveying a message from beyond the stars. News of the event spread quickly throughout the local community, and soon it caught the attention of government scientists. The Department of Mines and Geological Survey in Ottawa learned of the incident and sent a letter to the McKinnon family requesting detailed information about the meteorite's arrival. They asked Willie to fill out a questionnaire describing the impact site, the sounds, the heat, and the appearance of the stone. Along with the request came an offer. The department wished to purchase the meteorite for study if an agreement could be reached. Whether the sale ever happened remains uncertain. The McKinnon family, known locally for their strong opinions and stubborn personalities, were said to be protective of the object. Willie's father, Angus McKinnon, had a reputation as a particularly argumentative man, which may have discouraged officials from pursuing the matter further. Over time, the strange stone disappeared from public record. No photograph or sample was ever preserved, and the original artifact's fate remains one of the great unsolved mysteries of early 20th century Canada. What became clear, however, was that the incident left a lasting impression on those who witnessed it. Locals spoke of how the earth had trembled that morning, how the air had seemed to shimmer, and how the markings on the stone could not be explained by any natural phenomenon. Some believed that the meteorite was a message, perhaps even evidence of life beyond Earth. Others suggested it was a fragment of an ancient celestial body that carried with it the secrets of another world. Though more than a century has passed since that strange morning, the mystery of the McKinnon meteorite continues to inspire curiosity and wonder. The idea that a stone could fall from the sky bearing symbols of intelligence challenges our understanding of the universe and reminds us of how much remains unknown. For a brief moment, a boy in a small Canadian town looked to the heavens and saw something extraordinary descend into his backyard, an object that seemed to whisper across time and space, leaving behind questions that remain unanswered to this day. The mystery of the Swansea Devil. In the heart of Swansea, Wales, there stands a tale so strange and unsettling that it has become woven into the very fabric of the city's folklore. It is the story of the Swansea Devil, a dark, grinning statue said to have been created as an act of vengeance and prophecy. To the people of Swansea, this menacing figure has long symbolized the power of jealousy, revenge, and fate. Even today, many believe that his curse lingers and that his gaze upon St. Mary's Church still carries the weight of his creator's resentment. The story begins in the late 19th century, when Swansea's St. Mary's Church was being rebuilt in the centre of town. The original church had stood for centuries, but by the 1890s, it was in desperate need of reconstruction. The design contract was awarded to Sir Arthur Blomfield, a highly respected English architect known for his work on churches across Britain. His design for the new St. Mary's Church was met with admiration when it was completed and unveiled in the year 1896. The people of Swansea were proud of their new house of worship, but not everyone shared their joy. Among those who watched the grand unveiling was another architect, one who had bitterly competed for the same contract. He had expected to be chosen and was furious when he was overlooked. Fueled by resentment, he swore that one day he would see the church and those who had rejected him brought to ruin. His opportunity for revenge came several years later when he purchased a row of small houses directly opposite St. Mary's Church. He demolished them and began constructing a new red brick building that would serve as a set of offices. But this was no ordinary office building. At its peak, he placed a carved wooden statue of a devil, a grotesque figure with horns, wings, and a wicked grin, which he deliberately positioned to face the church. The figure's expression was one of amusement, as if mocking its grand stone neighbour. Locals were horrified when the architect reportedly declared that, when the church was one day destroyed, his devil would still be there, laughing at its remains. Few took the word seriously at the time. Yet, decades later, his dark prophecy came true. In the year 1941, during a devastating air raid campaign, the city of Swansea was heavily bombed. Flames engulfed the town centre, and St. Mary's Church was among the many buildings reduced to rubble. Astonishingly, the red brick building across the street remained completely untouched. Even more chilling was the sight that met those who walked the ruins after the raid. The devil statue, still perched high above the street, unharmed, grinning down at the destroyed church below. The locals began calling it Old Nick, or the Swansea Devil, convinced that the figure had somehow carried out its maker's curse. For more than 2 decades, the devil sat there, watching over the city with its unsettling smirk. Passers-by claimed they could feel its presence, and some said they heard faint laughter on windy nights. But then, in 1962, the statue vanished. The building that had housed it was demolished, and Old Nick seemed to disappear without a trace. For years, no one knew what had happened to him. Some believed the statue had been destroyed along with the rubble. Others whispered that the devil had simply gone into hiding, waiting for the right moment to return. It was not until many years later that the mystery was solved. The statue was rediscovered in the dusty garage of an antique dealer, hidden away and forgotten. By that time, a modern shopping centre had been built where the old offices once stood. In an eerie twist of fate, the Swansea Devil was soon brought back and placed inside the shopping centre, once again facing St. Mary's Church. Despite protests from religious groups, he remained there for years, his sly grin unbroken. Eventually, the statue was transferred to the Swansea Museum, where it now resides safely on display. Yet, even within the museum's walls, the legend of the curse endures. Visitors say there is something about the figure's eyes, as though they still gleam with a secret knowledge, as if he is still watching, still waiting. To this day, the story of the Swansea Devil serves as a reminder of the power of pride and bitterness. Whether a mere coincidence or a curse fulfilled, the tale continues to haunt the people of Swansea. The mystery of the Busby Stoop Inn chair. Deep in the heart of North Yorkshire, England, there lies a story so chilling that it has been whispered for more than 3 centuries. It centers on a simple oak chair known as the Busby Stoop Inn chair, or, as it became notoriously known, the dead man's chair. What appears to be an ordinary piece of furniture is believed to carry an extraordinary curse, one allegedly spoken by a man named Thomas Busby in the year 1702. Today, the chair remains locked away in Thirsk Museum, suspended high above the ground so that no one may ever sit in it again. Thomas Busby was a coin forger, a man who lived a rough and unpredictable life. Alongside his father-in-law and partner, Daniel Arty, he ran a small illegal operation producing counterfeit coins. The two men's relationship was strained, often marked by greed and mistrust. Their partnership reached its breaking point one fateful evening when an argument between them turned violent. Busby's temper flared beyond control, and in his anger, he took Arty's life. Justice in those days was swift and unforgiving. Busby was arrested, tried, and sentenced to meet his end by rope near an inn at Sand Hutton Crossroads. The site would later become known as the Busby Stoop Inn, forever linking his name with the grim event. It was said that as Busby awaited his fate, he sat in his favourite oak chair inside the inn, consumed by bitterness and fury. Accounts differ on the exact moment of the curse, but two versions of the story endure. The first claims that when officers came to arrest him, they found Busby heavily intoxicated in the chair. As he was dragged away, he shouted that anyone who dared to sit in his chair would meet an untimely and tragic end. The second version holds that as he was led to the gallows, Busby was allowed one final request: to stop at the inn for a last drink. Sitting once more in his beloved chair, he is said to have cursed it before being taken to the crossroads where his sentence was carried out. From that day on, the chair's reputation for bringing misfortune began to grow. Locals swore that strange happenings surrounded it, and soon tales of accidents and unexplained tragedies became attached to anyone who dared to rest upon it. But the legend truly gained notoriety centuries later, during the conflict of the 1940s. Canadian airmen stationed at a nearby base in Skipton-on-Swale would visit the Busby Stoop Inn for drinks before flying out on missions over Europe. It soon became apparent that those who sat in Busby's chair never returned from their missions, while those who avoided it came home unharmed. The eerie pattern left even the most skeptical pilots uneasy, and the chair's sinister reputation became a part of wartime folklore. As the years passed, more strange incidents were reported. During the 1970s, local builders, delivery workers, and travelers were said to have met tragic fates after sitting in the chair. The coincidences piled up to such a degree that the community could no longer dismiss them as chance. The landlord of the Busby Stoop Inn, frightened by its dark legacy, decided to remove the chair from public use. It was donated to the Thirsk Museum, where curators made the unusual decision to suspend it from the ceiling, ensuring that no one could ever sit on it again. To this day, it hangs there untouched, a relic of superstition and sorrow, surrounded by centuries of whispered fear. The Thirsk Museum itself is a quaint and historic home that tells the story of life in North Yorkshire across the ages. It contains artifacts from local farmers, merchants and craftspeople, a celebration of heritage and tradition. Yet, among all its relics, none attract visitors quite like the Busby Stoop chair. The chair looks unremarkable, just a sturdy old piece of oak with worn edges and a simple design. But those who stand beneath it often describe an odd sensation, a heaviness in the air, a strange energy, as if the curse still lingers in the wood. Whether the curse is real or a story woven from coincidence, fear, and folklore, the legend endures. Some believe the curse is a manifestation of Busby's rage, a spiritual echo that clings to the chair as a warning. Others argue that the long string of misfortunes was nothing more than happenstance magnified by human imagination. Still, those who have heard the stories firsthand rarely take the risk. The tale of the Busby Stoop Inn chair serves as a haunting reminder of how emotion, belief, and tragedy can merge to create a lasting mystery. It is a story of human anger, remorse, and the fear of what might linger after life. Whether one believes in the supernatural or not, the legacy of the cursed chair continues to fascinate, drawing visitors from around the world who come to see, but never to sit. Like the old saying goes, better safe than sorry. Mysterious James Webb Telescope discovery. When people look at the night sky, They often see only the faint glimmer of stars and, on rare occasions, a distant planet or comet streaking across the heavens. Yet, for all that can be seen from Earth, the true beauty and complexity of the universe remain hidden beyond human reach. The James Webb Space Telescope, humanity's most powerful eye in the cosmos, has now peeled back that veil, revealing something extraordinary. Galaxies so massive and ancient that they challenge everything science believed about the early universe. These discoveries have left astronomers in awe, as they appear to show galaxies that, by all existing theories, simply should not exist. Launched to succeed the Hubble Space Telescope, the James Webb has already transformed the way humanity sees the cosmos. Designed to peer deep into space, and therefore deep into time, it captures light that has traveled for over 13 billion years, originating just a few 100 million years after the Big Bang. What the telescope has now uncovered defies the very foundation of cosmology: enormous galaxies that appear far older and more evolved than anything that should have existed so soon after the universe's birth. According to well-established scientific models, the earliest galaxies were expected to be small, faint, and filled with hot, blue stars, the kind that burn quickly and live briefly. These young galaxies, still in the process of forming, should have contained little structure and relatively few stars. Yet, when researchers analyzed the data sent back by the James Webb Telescope, what they found were not small, chaotic clusters, but giant, well-formed galaxies filled with older, cooler red stars. Some of these galaxies are estimated to be as massive as the Milky Way itself. Their very existence calls into question the entire timeline of cosmic evolution. The red color of these galaxies stunned astronomers. In the cosmos, blue light typically signifies youth and heat, while red light indicates age and maturity. The galaxies captured by Webb appeared red, suggesting that their stars had already aged considerably by the time their light began its long journey to Earth. But according to conventional understanding, there simply wasn't enough time for galaxies of such size and age to have formed so early in the universe's history. The discovery implies that either galaxies evolved far faster than scientists have ever imagined, or that the entire model of how the early universe developed needs to be rethought. Even more surprising is that these findings contradict the earlier observations made by the Hubble Space Telescope. Hubble had provided a picture of the young universe that was far simpler, one filled with small, blue, fast-burning stars. The James Webb's infrared vision, however, sees deeper and further, revealing a hidden layer of cosmic history. Its data suggests that the universe was far more complex, structured and mature than previously believed, even in its infancy. Despite the shock and excitement, scientists are approaching these findings with cautious curiosity. The images captured by Webb, while breathtaking, are incredibly distant, so far away that small details can easily be misinterpreted. It's possible that what appears to be a massive ancient galaxy could instead be something else entirely, such as an unusual type of star or cluster that emits light in ways never before seen. Astronomers are now conducting follow-up analyses to confirm whether these enormous red patches truly represent mature galaxies, or whether their light has been distorted by cosmic dust or gravitational lensing. Still, even with these uncertainties, the discovery stands as a testament to the telescope's power and the boundless mystery of the cosmos. Each revelation from the James Webb Space Telescope reminds humanity that the universe is far more complex and unpredictable than ever imagined. What scientists thought they knew about cosmic beginnings, about how quickly matter organized, stars ignited, and galaxies formed, may need to be rewritten entirely. In a single year of operation, the James Webb Telescope has already forced humanity to confront the limits of its understanding. Its discoveries hint that the universe's earliest moments were not simple or slow, but vibrant, active, and filled with vast systems of stars forming far earlier than expected. These revelations may redefine not only the history of the cosmos, but also humankind's place within it. As the telescope continues to gaze into the infinite darkness, one truth becomes clearer than ever. The universe still holds countless secrets waiting to be uncovered. The disappearance of Olivia Samantha Fowler. The disappearance of 26-year-old Olivia Samantha Fowler remains one of the most haunting unsolved cases in Georgia's recent history. A young mother of 3, Olivia's life was filled with love for her family, but also marked by instability and hardship. Her sudden vanishing in August of 2021 left her loved ones in a state of anguish, searching for answers that have yet to come. Despite extensive investigations and the later involvement of federal authorities, the mystery of what happened to her continues to linger. Olivia was last seen in Meriwether County, Georgia, on the morning of the 13th of August, 2021. At the time of her disappearance, she did not have a permanent address. Instead, she divided her time between her mother's home in Manchester and her father's in Woodbury, two small towns located only about 15 minutes apart. Her children were living with her cousin, and Olivia's transient lifestyle, while not uncommon for many struggling to find stability, unfortunately made it harder to track her movements in the days leading up to her disappearance. Her family described her as caring, warm, and devoted to her children, though she had been facing personal challenges in the months before she went missing. Olivia was well known in the local community, but because she often moved between homes in 4 nearby counties, Meriwether, Harris, Talbot, and Upson, it became increasingly difficult to establish a clear timeline of her final hours. The last confirmed interaction with her family took place on the 12th of August. Olivia had spoken with her sister at their mother's house that evening. Nothing about their conversation seemed unusual, and there were no signs of distress or fear. Later that night, Olivia went to stay at her boyfriend's home just outside of Manchester. He later told authorities that she had gone outside for a cigarette late in the evening, sometime around 2 o'clock in the morning, and when he awoke the next day, she was gone. Witnesses later reported seeing Olivia walking along Pebblebrook Road at approximately 7:30 in the morning on the 13th. A few hours after that, at around 10:30, a Georgia Department of Natural Resources ranger spotted a woman matching her description along the same stretch of road near the Cove, a well-known spot near the Flint River. That would become the last confirmed sighting of Olivia Samantha Fowler. After that morning, she vanished without a trace. What makes Olivia's case particularly concerning is that she left behind all her personal belongings. Her phone, purse, and keys were later found, and her family was adamant that it was unlike her to go anywhere without them. Her sudden disappearance became even more alarming when she failed to attend her youngest child's first birthday. By the 14th of August, her family reported her missing. Despite immediate efforts from local law enforcement and volunteers, the search produced no sign of her. Months passed with little progress. The case eventually drew the attention of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, which became involved in May of the following year. Numerous leads were pursued, but none led to any definitive answers. Search teams combed through wooded areas, rivers, and rural backroads, but the mystery only deepened. The area near the Cove, where Olivia may have been heading, was searched extensively, but nothing concrete was ever found. Olivia's family has remained steadfast in their hope for answers. They describe her as someone who loved deeply, who often put others before herself, and who had dreams of providing a better life for her children. Though her living situation and frequent movement between counties made the early stages of the investigation complicated, her loved ones continue to believe that someone, somewhere, knows what happened. The disappearance of Olivia Samantha Fowler is a reminder of how quickly a life can vanish and how fragile the line between presence and absence can be. Her story also highlights the challenges faced in missing persons cases when circumstances like unstable housing and transient lifestyles make timelines harder to piece together. Today, Olivia's family continues to hold vigils and raise awareness about her case, keeping her name alive in the hope that someone will come forward with information. They remain determined that her story will not be forgotten and that one day they will have the answers they deserve. Mars has long been a source of mystery and fascination, with numerous anomalies discovered on its surface that challenge conventional explanations. Among the many strange findings on the red planet, one of the most intriguing is a square-shaped formation captured by the Mars Global Surveyor's Mars Orbiter camera. This unusual structure, visible in an image available through Arizona State University's Mars Image Explorer, has sparked intense debate among researchers and enthusiasts alike. Many believe that this geometric formation, along with other peculiar structures on Mars, warrants further investigation, as it could potentially reveal artificial or unknown processes shaping the Martian landscape. The discovery of this square-shaped formation has raised profound questions about its origin. Unlike the natural, chaotic formations typically seen on Mars, this structure exhibits a level of symmetry and geometric precision that is rarely found in nature. Most natural geological processes, such as erosion and volcanic activity, tend to create irregular, unpredictable formations. However, the almost perfect angles and defined edges of this Martian square suggest that it may not be the product of ordinary geological forces. The notion that such a formation could exist naturally on Mars has been met with skepticism by those who believe that its unique shape indicates an artificial or intelligently designed origin. This discovery is not an isolated anomaly. Over the years, numerous unexplained structures have been identified on Mars, ranging from what appear to be pyramidal formations to objects resembling domes and fort-like enclosures. Some of these anomalies bear an uncanny resemblance to man-made structures on Earth, fueling speculation that Mars may have once harbored an advanced civilization, or, at the very least, been visited by extraterrestrial beings in the distant past. If this is the case, the square formation could represent the remnants of an ancient structure, now partially buried under Martian dust and sediment. One of the most compelling aspects of this formation is its location and scale. The image from the Mars Global Surveyor provides detailed measurements, suggesting that the square formation is significantly large, far beyond the scale of ordinary rock formations. Its distinct shape, when compared to the surrounding terrain, makes it stand out as an anomaly, further adding to the mystery of its existence. If it were merely a result of natural geological processes, one would expect to see other similarly shaped formations nearby, yet this is not the case. This discrepancy raises the question of whether Mars has undergone processes unknown to mainstream science, or if intelligent intervention played a role in shaping its surface. Supporters of the artificial structure hypothesis argue that the square formation could be a remnant of an ancient Martian civilization, similar to the ruins of ancient cities found on Earth. They suggest that if Mars once had conditions capable of supporting life, it is entirely plausible that an advanced society could have flourished there before some catastrophic event led to its demise. Given the evidence of past water activity and the possibility of an ancient atmosphere, this theory is not as far-fetched as it might seem. If Mars did indeed host intelligent life in the distant past, structures like the square formation could be key to understanding the history of the planet and the fate of its inhabitants. Another possibility that has been proposed is that the square formation may be linked to extraterrestrial visitors. Some researchers speculate that Mars may have been used as a base or an outpost by non-human intelligences at some point in history. The precision of the square shape and its distinct edges lend credibility to the idea that it may have been deliberately constructed rather than formed through random geological processes. If true, this would suggest that Mars has played a far more significant role in interstellar history than previously thought. NASA and other space agencies have largely remained silent on the implications of these formations, often dismissing them as natural rock formations or the result of imaging artifacts. However, this stance has not deterred independent researchers and analysts from continuing to investigate. With the increasing availability of high-resolution images from Mars rovers and orbiters, more anomalies are being identified, adding to the growing body of evidence that suggests Mars may not be the barren, lifeless world it is often portrayed to be. The presence of geometric formations on Mars raises profound questions about our understanding of planetary science and history. If the square formation is indeed artificial, it could revolutionize our understanding of Mars and the possibility of extraterrestrial intelligence. It would suggest that humanity is not alone in the universe and that advanced beings may have left behind evidence of their existence on our neighboring planet. The implications of such a discovery would be staggering, challenging the foundations of science, history, and our place in the cosmos. Despite the skepticism from mainstream scientific circles, the demand for further study of these formations continues to grow. Many argue that future missions to Mars should prioritize the exploration of these anomalies, using advanced technology to determine whether they are truly artificial in nature. With human missions to Mars on the horizon, the opportunity to investigate these structures up close may soon become a reality. If we are to uncover the true nature of Mars, we must be open to the possibility that what we find there could change everything we thought we knew about the universe. The strange, square-shaped formation on Mars remains one of the most intriguing and unexplained discoveries in planetary exploration. Its geometric precision and distinct appearance challenge traditional explanations and fuel speculation about its possible artificial origins. Whether it is evidence of an ancient civilization, a remnant of extraterrestrial visitors, or a geological anomaly unlike any seen before, this formation demands further study. As humanity continues to explore the cosmos, we may one day uncover the truth about Mars and the mysterious structures that lie on its surface, revealing secrets that have been hidden for millennia. The exploration of Mars has uncovered numerous anomalies that continue to challenge our understanding of the planet's history. Another compelling discovery is a photograph taken by NASA's Curiosity rover, showing a large, layered, brick-like structure on the Martian surface. The image, which quickly sparked debate among researchers and the public, reveals an arrangement of stones that bear an uncanny resemblance to human-made construction techniques. This discovery has led many to suggest that Mars may have once been home to an advanced civilization, or, at the very least, that the planet's past is far more complex than mainstream science currently acknowledges. The photograph in question displays a formation composed of evenly layered slabs of rock, stacked in a manner that is strikingly similar to brickwork found in ancient and modern human architecture. Unlike typical natural formations, which tend to be irregular and chaotic, this structure exhibits a level of organization that suggests intentional design. The uniformity and precision of the layers raise important questions about whether this could be evidence of an artificial construct rather than a naturally occurring geological phenomenon. One of the most significant aspects of this discovery is how closely the structure resembles known construction methods on Earth. In many ancient civilizations, including those of Mesopotamia, Egypt, and the Americas, brick-like stones were used to build walls, roads, and fortifications. The Martian structure appears to follow a similar pattern, with neatly stacked layers that seem too methodical to be a product of random geological forces. If this formation were found on Earth, it would almost certainly be classified as a remnant of an ancient settlement. The fact that it exists on Mars raises profound implications about the possibility of past intelligent life on the planet. This is not the first time strange formations have been discovered on Mars. Over the years, NASA's rovers and orbiters have captured images of what appear to be pyramidal structures, domes, and even what some have interpreted as carved statues or entrances to underground tunnels. Each new discovery adds to the growing body of evidence suggesting that Mars may have once supported a civilization that left behind architectural remnants, now partially buried or eroded over time. The brick-like structure in the Curiosity rover's photograph stands out as one of the most compelling pieces of evidence yet, as it is unmistakably similar to construction techniques familiar to human engineers. Supporters of the ancient civilization theory argue that Mars once had conditions suitable for life, including vast oceans, a thicker atmosphere, and a more hospitable climate. Over time, some catastrophic event, possibly a nuclear war, an asteroid impact, or dramatic climate change, could have wiped out an advanced society, leaving only scattered ruins behind. If such a civilization once thrived on Mars, the layered structure seen in the Curiosity photograph could be one of the last remaining testaments to its existence. NASA has largely dismissed these claims, attributing the formation to natural erosion and geological processes. According to mainstream scientists, wind, water, and volcanic activity could have created these layered formations over millions of years. However, critics argue that such an explanation does not adequately account for the structure's striking similarity to human-made buildings. They point out that while erosion can create unusual shapes, it rarely results in the type of uniform, rectangular layering seen in the Mars photograph. One of the most intriguing aspects of this discovery is the potential for further investigation. With advanced rovers currently exploring Mars and future human missions on the horizon, the opportunity to study these anomalies up close is becoming increasingly viable. If a mission were to directly analyze the composition and arrangement of the layered structure, it could provide crucial insights into whether it was shaped by natural forces or intelligent design. A closer examination could reveal signs of artificial materials, patterns of wear consistent with construction, or even hidden chambers beneath the surface. The implications of finding an ancient structure on Mars would be profound. If it were proven that intelligent beings once inhabited the planet, It would revolutionize our understanding of history, not just on Mars, but within the broader context of life in the universe. It would raise fundamental questions about the origin of life, the potential for interplanetary civilizations, and whether Mars was once connected to Earth in ways we have yet to discover. Such a revelation would challenge conventional scientific models and force humanity to rethink its place in the cosmos. Despite NASA's reluctance to entertain the idea of past civilizations on Mars, interest in these anomalies continues to grow. Independent researchers and analysts continue to study the available images, searching for additional clues that might confirm the presence of artificial structures. The debate over Mars's past is far from over, and as more data becomes available, the possibility of an ancient Martian civilization remains an open question. A few months ago, it was reported that sheep across the world were observed walking around in circles, and people have now said that the phenomenon has just started up again. Due to this strange behavior, it's caused some to suggest that animals may be sensing something. Interestingly, some animals have been observed to have the ability to detect earthquakes before they occur. This is believed to be due to their heightened sensitivity to changes in their environment, such as vibrations or electromagnetic fields. One animal that is known for its ability to detect earthquakes is the common toad. Researchers have found that toads will often leave their breeding sites and move to higher ground several days before an earthquake occurs. Similarly, other studies have shown that certain species of fish, snakes, and even domesticated dogs and cats have exhibited unusual behavior prior to an earthquake. Scientists have said that not all animals have this ability, and more research is needed to fully understand the mechanisms behind this phenomenon. The United States Geological Survey said the following about this phenomenon. Evidence abounds of animals, fish, birds, reptiles, and insects exhibiting strange behavior anywhere from weeks to seconds before an earthquake. However, consistent and reliable behavior prior to seismic events and a mechanism explaining how it could work still eludes us. End quote. One person commented on social media saying that they have a koi pond, and she observed her fish swimming around in circles for hours. This event happened in early March, and she said that a few days later, the region where she lives was hit by a 4-magnitude earthquake. China is located in an area of the world that is particularly prone to earthquakes due to its location on the Pacific Ring of Fire. The Pacific Ring of Fire is a region that encircles the Pacific Ocean and is characterized by high levels of seismic activity and volcanic eruptions. China is also situated on the boundary between the Eurasian Plate and the Indian Plate, which are two of the Earth's tectonic plates. The collision of these two plates has created a complex system of fault lines that runs through China, resulting in frequent earthquakes. While earthquakes are common in China, the country has implemented measures to mitigate their impact. This includes seismic monitoring systems, earthquake-resistant building codes, and public education campaigns on earthquake preparedness. Oddly enough, this strange behavior was observed a few months back, when sheep were seen walking around in circles. It was reported that hundreds of sheep had been observed walking in circles for over 12 days. Not long after the first report was made, others came forward and said that sheep were observed doing the same thing across different countries, with reports coming in from the United Kingdom and Mongolia, with local farmers confused as to why the sheep were doing this for such a long period of time, with one farmer saying that it happens every so often, but has never lasted more than an hour. The cause of this strange behavior is still not known. It's known that China is often hit by earthquakes, and at the time it caused some to suggest that perhaps the sheep could feel something happening. The United States Geological Survey said the following. The earliest reference we have to unusual animal behavior prior to a significant earthquake is from Greece in 373 BC. Rats, weasels, snakes, and centipedes reportedly left their homes and headed for safety several days before a destructive earthquake. Anecdotal evidence abounds of animals, fish, birds, reptiles, and insects exhibiting strange behavior anywhere from weeks to seconds before an earthquake. Most but not all scientists pursuing this mystery are in China or Japan. An earthquake forecast was made in China several decades ago, based on small earthquakes and unusual animal activity. Many people chose to sleep outside of their homes and thus were spared when the main earthquake indeed occurred and caused widespread destruction. However, Usually no large earthquake follows this type of seismic activity, and unfortunately, many earthquakes are preceded by no precursory events whatsoever." End quote. It's for this reason that people worry when they see animals acting like this, with residents fearing that a big earthquake could hit the region within the next few days. As mentioned, for centuries there have been accounts of animals acting strange before an earthquake devastates a region. A few years back, scientists came forward and said that they have filmed the behavior of wild animals prior to a quake, and believe this could be documented evidence of animals behaving differently just prior to an earthquake. The researchers were studying birds in Peru and found that days before an earthquake hit, the birds ran for shelter, with the team suggesting that the animals running for cover may be linked to airborne ions. As of right now, scientists and animal experts have said that there's several reasons why animals may walk in circles, saying that some animals, particularly those with poor eyesight, may use circling as a means of navigating. By walking in circles, they may be able to detect changes in their environment, such as the location of food or water sources, and orient themselves more accurately. Certain animals, especially those in captivity or under stress, may exhibit repetitive behaviors, including circling. This behavior may be a result of boredom, anxiety, or a lack of stimulation. In some cases, animals may walk in circles due to neurological disorders, such as vestibular disease. This condition affects the inner ear, which can cause disorientation and loss of balance. Injury. Animals may also walk in circles if they have sustained an injury to their limbs or other parts of their body. This behavior may be an attempt to alleviate pain or discomfort. It's important to note that circling behavior in animals should be investigated and monitored by a veterinarian, as it can sometimes be a symptom of a more serious underlying condition. Mysterious creatures photographed in Brazil. A Brazilian man captured some odd images of what appear to be mysterious creatures on his camera. The Bahian government imposed a curfew on the area in the middle of 2021, prohibiting people from leaving their homes at night. However, this seemed to only apply to humans, since locals started reporting seeing weird animals out and about throughout the night. They described them as smaller than people, coated in black hair, and possessing a dog-like face. People began to sneak out in the hopes of seeing these monsters as a result of these rumors, and one local was successful in doing just that. Following their capture, the photos were circulated on social media. Some locals weren't so confident and didn't want to venture outside at night for fear of seeing these animals. Reverse image searches yield no results, suggesting that the photos are authentic. Locals have also attested to the veracity of what they observe in the area, and soon after, people began to form links with both these animals and the mysterious night crawlers, which are claimed to be two-legged beings. According to old American myths, these animals have been on Earth for a long time, and they are said to have originated on a planet that was mostly made of swamps, which explains why they have such long legs. Those who have studied these creatures have said that they are able to walk across the swampy marshlands that are found all over the country. However, some have claimed that they only rarely land and spend the majority of their time in and around our waters. They have also noted that they are comparable to other mysterious species that have been spotted close to our oceans, and they claim that this is one of the primary reasons why we don't see them very often. The creatures have been spotted in the California region over the years. The nightcrawler has been characterized as an ethereal, strange-looking creature that has frequently been the subject of a great deal of skepticism. This is because the only proof of an encounter with the creature comes from uncut security footage that shows the strange entity walking through residential backyards and covering large distances. The nightcrawler is also said to be a creature that is simple to manufacture, since it resembles a big white cloth wrapped over a long-legged human moving slowly on film. As a result, several video analysts have examined the tape to see whether or not it has been altered in any manner. Not only did they discover that the footage was authentic, but they also discovered that they could reconstruct the creature's whole course, traversing numerous locations throughout the city until completely vanishing, by utilizing the angle and direction of the cameras. The night crawlers have been seen in the film at heights comparable to those of children, men, and even cats. Despite their varied sizes, they are always seen walking on two long white legs with no arms of any type. This has led some people to conclude that the creature is nothing more than the application of practical effects. In addition, the creature's movements are correlated with the billowing movements of the wind, and the footage is uncut with lights and shadows, indicating that the thing exists in 3 dimensions. Many people have come to believe that the bizarre night crawlers are real, thanks to years of unending footage of them. Occasionally, someone will report seeing the elusive creature, but it has been difficult to get footage of it because they are not expecting to. Utah Skinwalker Sighting. In 2018, the terrifying image was posted to Reddit under the title Utah Skinwalker Sighting. According to the poster, their friend's ex-husband took the picture, and they said that the father of the ex-husband and him were on a rural property to examine the scene of an alleged incident that had occurred a few weeks prior. They claim that a man brandishing a shotgun approached them and shook his head, telling them not to be by themselves on this section of the land. He gave them a warning shot and motioned for them to go away. Along a dusty driveway, the father and the ex-husband fled as quickly as they could. They illuminated their path with the camera's flash, and as they were doing this, a number of photographs were captured. After telling their friends and relatives about the strange experience for a few weeks, they finally made the decision to see if the camera had captured any images of them running. One of the pictures captured a really unsettling moment. A humanoid figure is visible in the center of the road. Its torso is extremely thick, and it is heavy and brown, and it appears to be plodding across the road with a slight slouch. The individual who posted the photograph thinks it might be proof of the notorious skinwalker, and if this image turns out to be genuine, it will be one of the few in existence that shows the creature. The mythology and folklore of many Native American tribes, especially the Navajo people of the Southwest, have a strong influence on skinwalkers. It is thought that these mysterious entities have the capacity to change into animals at will, usually with malicious intent. The history of skinwalkers is veiled in legend and custom, intricately linked to the Navajo people's spiritual convictions. A skinwalker, according to Navajo folklore, is a person who has attained supernatural abilities through witchcraft and dark magic, frequently by carrying out forbidden deeds. The ability to shapeshift into an animal and take on its physical attributes is supposed to be granted to the skinwalker by donning the skin or hide of that animal. In Navajo culture, the capacity to change into an animal is typically connected to shaman, or healers and medicine men or women who utilize their abilities for the good of their community. The idea of the skinwalker, on the other hand, is a distortion of this spiritual discipline in which people use their abilities for nefarious or self-serving ends, and it's reported that skinwalkers are capable of more than only shapeshifting. When in animal shape, they are claimed to possess increased strength, speed, and agility, making them extremely dangerous opponents. They might display strange traits in human form, like mind control, telepathy, and the capacity to influence the elements. The ability of skinwalkers to mimic human voices and noises is one of the most terrifying characteristics of skinwalker lore. They frequently use this talent to entice victims or instill dread and bewilderment. They are thought to feed on people's inadequacies and vulnerabilities, instilling terror in those they come into contact with. Mysterious object taken down over Brazil. Thousands of individuals in Brazil reported seeing strange lights back in 2020. Videos of these strange lights are beginning to circulate online as more and more individuals record them. Some residents reported seeing lights pulse and dart across the sky, while others described seeing objects resembling orbs that would hover in one spot before suddenly vanishing. There is no doubt that a large number of residents have succeeded in photographing these unusual lights. North of Rio de Janeiro is where the lights have been most seen. Locals have been bringing in their videos, and thus at the time, the Brazilian press began covering the objects. These activities have been taking place in Mage, and the region has even started to trend on social media. However, some claimed that the trend was only taken down after around an hour, and this caused some to suggest that the trend was removed from social media on purpose in order to stop more people asking questions. Remarkably, the situation changed when locals reported that one of the objects encountered difficulties and crashed. There have been reports that the item struck the earth a few days after the original sighting, at which point other lights were reported to be visible. One of the residents, intrigued by what had transpired, made the adventurous decision to search for the fallen craft. They quickly arrived at the location, where they could plainly see a metallic, spherical-looking object. It looked as though it was glowing blue from the inside and was releasing some kind of steam. The video is cut after only about 15 seconds. Some have questioned the object's legitimacy, despite its intriguing and futuristic appearance. As of right now, many have claimed that the alleged object was created by someone to give the impression that the entire event was staged. However, as someone pointed out, how did this thing manage to materialize so quickly? It was also noted that there was extremely high background radiation in the vicinity of the object's discovery, which at the time was unexplainable. Some claimed that this characteristic was shared by UFOs that had landed, and some viewers of the video have said that it's well shot and that the item appears to be much larger thanks to camera techniques. It appears that unusual visitors have occurred in Brazil on occasion. Researchers have spent countless hours trying to determine the truth behind the numerous unidentified flying objects that have been reported from this area throughout the years. While some have called the object a hoax, others have also made the point that you shouldn't let it take your attention away from the real lights that have been photographed. Photographs of the mysterious duende. The duende, a small gnome-like creature steeped in Hispanic folklore, captivates the imagination with its strange presence and whimsical nature. The concept of the duende finds its roots in folklore, where it is believed to have emerged from ancient beliefs and superstitions passed down through generations. Unlike malevolent creatures of other traditions, the creature is often portrayed as mischievous, yet not inherently harmful, known for playing pranks on unsuspecting travelers or local villagers. Stories of encounters with the creature often emphasize its elusive nature and magical abilities, such as shape-shifting or invisibility, adding to its mystical allure. They were held accountable for numerous odd occurrences that occurred in and around homes, and some have concluded that these creatures are tricking you as a result of this. They appear to be rather innocuous in the majority of stories. Some even advise you to give them your first bite of any meal in order to stay on your good side. According to reports from other residents, you can call out to these creatures, and they will come to your aid if you become lost in the woods. This seems to hold true as long as you didn't hurt anyone. The Watchers of the Woods warn the villagers when they go outside to play in the area. The creature was always keeping an eye on them, so they were warned not to get into too much trouble in the woods and not to hurt any animals for fun, and if they saw you misbehaving, they would come to you and drag you into their cave, which is located far into the forest. Strangely enough, photos purporting to depict these mysterious creatures have surfaced in recent years. The photographers claim that these images are challenging to obtain because the majority of the sightings occurred at night, making it impossible for the cameras to catch the images. Nonetheless, the images do seem to depict little, humanoid-like creatures, which is consistent with the creature's general description. Dogman caught on camera at zoo. A user on social media uploaded this strange image to Reddit, where it has already sparked some thought-provoking discussions over what this object might be. Trail cameras have long been used to record unusual critters, and in more recent times, they have allowed us to get insight into some of the animals that inhabit these far-off places. But since this picture was taken right outside of a zoo, several people were left wondering if the creature was maybe stalking the animals there. The uploader claims that a game camera outside of the Texas Zoo took the mysterious picture. When it was first uploaded, it was posted in a private zookeeper Facebook group. The keeper said that they were unable to identify the object after seeing it on a trail camera aimed at a perimeter fence. Those who saw the image said that the camera was aimed at the outer barrier from inside the zoo. Because most of the photos are of wild animals, as you would expect from a trail camera, some speculated that the private zookeeper wasn't seeking attention. Others responded by saying that this lends greater authenticity to the images. After the post was distributed to organizations that study unexplained phenomena, a user commented that it fit the dogman's descriptions. This photograph closely resembles eyewitness descriptions of the dogman creature. Stories about the dogman have been around for a while, however. There are now very few photos available, most of them featuring hazy animals. This one is still a little fuzzy from the trail camera, but you can clearly see that it's a bipedal animal that resembles a wolf. Despite the dogman tail, If you were to look at this picture and not know about it, you may think that it's a werewolf or a wolf standing on its hind legs. It's interesting to note that people of Texas claim that these supposed animals fit the general description of the dogman, a creature that is said to resemble a werewolf and measure between 6 and 7 feet in height. Another account of their contact with the dogman is based on a personal narrative that was published in recent years and revolves around their meeting that took place in the Texas county of El Paso over 50 years ago. In 1968, an 11-year-old boy and his friends went to a local baseball field in El Paso during the summer to play baseball. The field was about 5 blocks away from Richmond Avenue. Someone hit the baseball at an oblique angle as they were playing, and it flew into the trees next to the baseball pitch as the day was becoming late. It was long past dark by now, with the sun completely set. They were afraid to leave the baseball pitch in case someone was waiting outside to act strangely. The lads approached the fence and turned to face the baseball, but as they did, they noticed an odd man standing outside the fence, facing away from the boys. He refused to turn around, ignoring the youngsters as they cried out to him, asking for help finding the ball. Fearing for their safety, one of the lads picked up a nearby boulder and hurled it in the man's direction, hoping to scare him off or make him turn around. The rock slipped silently to one side, and then the man sank to all fours and appeared to change into a big wolf. The boys claimed that the creature was a werewolf and fled from the thing as a result. They sprinted all the way home without stopping, shut the door, and spent the night at a friend's house rather than making the long trek home. The bedside watcher. These video stills from a hospital surveillance camera appear to show a misty human shape, resembling a child, keeping watch over a patient. However, paranormal researchers have said that there are 3 different interpretations of the person in the bed and their purpose in the hospital. Either an individual suffering from a terminal illness, an elderly man close to passing, or a sleep experiment. Some who have seen the image have said that it's consoling to know that someone is with them during their last moments. These 3 still images are from an infrared surveillance and monitoring camera that was installed in a hospital. A mysterious humanoid figure may be seen standing next to a hospital bed in 2 out of the 3 photos. The figure is almost perched on the railings in one of these video stills, gazing down at the patient. It appears as though the other is making touch with the subject's forehead. The first story tells us it was a part of a sleep analysis experiment, but does not provide a location for the hospital or medical center. The man in the bed had been having nightmares about someone trying to enter his bedroom via the walls in order to get to him when he was awake. His fear over going to bed was causing him to be so terrified that his waking life was negatively impacted. The cameras captured the photos while they were being conducted on him to monitor and investigate what was going on in his brain during these waking nightmares. The second story is that an elderly individual who was about to pass away was lying in bed. The picture was taken right before the person passed away, and many suggested that it might have been their own spirit giving their body one final glance before leaving it behind, or that it might have been one of their close relatives helping them cross over to the other side. The third story is that it's a young individual with an illness, and many people think that this picture, which was taken a long time before he passed away, might be that of a guardian angel or a kind spirit that would watch over those who were about to pass on. It's possible that it was something else entirely. Some people even speculate that the entity may be demonic. Mysterious photographs show the Ogopogo. Reports of a massive serpent-like creature swimming in the waters of British Columbia's Lake Okanagan date back to 1872. Numerous residents and visitors have reported seeing the Ogopogo monster in the lake. When Vancouver resident Ed Fletcher captured this dramatic image of Ogopogo in 1976, it became one of the most well-known sightings of the animal. Fletcher saw a massive serpent-like thing slithering over the lake while he and his companions were taking in the view. He snapped a picture using his camera, and it would go on to be one of the most important pieces of evidence suggesting a cryptid might be swimming in Lake Okanagan. There are reports of a sighting near a beach at Okanagan Mission in 1926. About 30 cars worth of witnesses are said to have seen the same thing during this incident. Art Folden allegedly captured footage of the supposed creature in 1968, capturing a big wake traveling across the sea. After a computer examination of the video, it was determined to be a 3-dimensional solid creature. A mobile phone video from 2011 showed 2 shadowy forms in the sea. Since the 19th century, First Nations people claim to have seen the creature and stated that it is most commonly described as a 40 to 50-foot sea serpent. The creature is classified as a many-hump variety of lake monster by British researcher Carl Schuker, who also speculates that it might be a primitive serpentine whale similar to Basilosaurus, which lived 40 million years ago. However, it has also been proposed that the sightings are misidentifications of ordinary animals, such otters, and inanimate objects, like floating logs, given that the physical evidence for the beast is restricted to grainy photos and film. Moreover, it might be a pliosaur, mosasaur, or plesiosaur. According to a legend, the creature's family resides in a cave in the middle of the lake. According to the Kelowna Daily Courier in British Columbia, 2 experts have decided to examine the remains of a strange animal that was discovered near the Okanagan Lake shore. Several years back, it was reported that a scientist in Alberta would study the body directly, and a researcher in Ontario will receive a tissue sample of the beast for DNA testing. Ghost of a girl captured inside a hospital. Capturing the essence of a ghostly encounter, especially one as poignant and unsettling as the sighting of a little girl in a hospital, evokes a mixture of fascination, curiosity, and perhaps a touch of fear. Such encounters blur the lines between the realms of the living and the departed, prompting questions about existence, spirituality, and the mysteries that linger beyond our understanding. Imagine a hospital ward, where the sterile scent of antiseptic mingles with the hushed murmurs of medical staff and the occasional beep of monitoring equipment. It's an environment charged with emotions, hope, fear, and sometimes sorrow. In this setting, paranormal occurrences may seem out of place, yet they often manifest when least expected, leaving an indelible mark on those who witness them. In this particular account, an individual's encounter with the ghost of a girl unfolded during one of his late-night shifts, a time when the hospital corridors were dimly lit and eerily quiet. The usual hustle and bustle of the day had given way to a palpable stillness, creating an atmosphere ripe for the unexpected. It was during a photograph being taken that the individual in question noticed something unusual near the end of a dimly lit hallway. A faint, almost imperceptible figure stood near a doorway leading to an empty room. At first glance, the person who took the photograph mistook the figure for a child who had wandered away from their parents, perhaps lost and in need of assistance. But as they looked at the image closer, a chill ran down their spine, for the figure appeared translucent, ethereal, and distinctly out of place in the hospital setting. The figure was that of a young girl, no more than 7 or 8 years old, dressed in a simple, outdated dress or hospital gown. As he stood there, not aware of the entity before him, the host was giving off a soft, ambient light emanated from within her, casting a gentle glow on the hallway walls. Despite the surreal nature of the encounter, the individual didn't know it was happening until they reviewed the image. As quickly as she had appeared, the ghostly girl faded from existence, her form dissolving into the ambient light that had surrounded her. In the days that followed, the individual said that they found himself reflecting on the experience with a newfound sense of wonder and reverence. The encounter had left an indelible impression, prompting deeper contemplation of the mysteries that lie beyond our understanding. Man captures images of the Pennsylvanian white Bigfoot. In North American woodlands, sightings of the fabled ape-like monster known as the Sasquatch have been reported. Sightings occur all over the continent, with sightings concentrated in the Pacific Northwest. Some particularly strange sightings in Pennsylvania include a white-furred, Bigfoot-like creature that is typically seen in conjunction with UFOs. In 1970, Blakesley, Pennsylvania saw the first sighting of the Pennsylvania white Bigfoot. Witness Annette reported that the animal she saw in 1970 was between 6 and 7 feet tall, with a long neck, a large chest, and a coat of dirty white fur. Annette continued by saying that it has dark, widely separated eyes, and the lower part of its face was hidden by its white hair. The skin around the forehead and eyes was rosy. It appeared as though its hair hung over its forehead like a fringe, and was a little longer on its head. At 9:30 in the evening on September 27, 1973, 2 girls were standing outside in Beaver County, Pennsylvania, when an 8-foot-tall creature with red-lit eyes and white fur fled into the neighboring woods. In its hands, the humanoid held a big, bright sphere. With hysterics, the girls fled into their home. Then, after spending more than an hour in the woods looking for the thing, the father of one of the girls went there. In the same year, 2 Bigfoot sightings occur simultaneously in the meadow, and a light orb lands close to Uniontown, Pennsylvania. Approximately simultaneously, a bright object passed over the surrounding forest. The 2008, a YouTube video known as the Pennsylvania White Bigfoot clip, was recorded in Carbondale, Pennsylvania. The people of Carbondale have been reporting strange sightings of a white Bigfoot for a long time. The first underground mine in the history of the United States was located in the small city of Carbondale. It was once a significant Delaware and Hudson Railroad terminus. Following receipt of an anonymous email, a local Pennsylvania news station reported on the white, possibly albino creature in July 2008. Some sort of animal about 6 to 7 feet tall, covered in all white fur, was the description given by witnesses, and the communication made particular reference to a Carbondale wooded region close to a mine reclamation facility. Strange noises and disturbances in the woods were noticed by the homeowners, and in one instance, an anonymous man saw something moving in his lawn and managed to get some strange film. The man captured a full second of footage, showing a big white creature that looked a lot like a Bigfoot. The monster in the video darts away as soon as the man's camera catches its face. According to reports on the internet, the video clip exhibits a few strange elements. First of all, the animal has extraordinarily huge body proportions that are difficult to replicate. The species has a hooded nose, a cone-shaped skull, and a distinct brow ridge, and the arms are long and the shoulders are very high. The thing moves quickly, and the creature has little ears and a head covered with white fur. Most significantly, the footage reveals the object's distorted face as it flees, raising the possibility that it is not a mask. Frame 17. One of the most discussed mysteries is the Dyatlov Pass incident. It has been discussed at length, and some researchers claim that it has been clarified. On the other hand, investigators who have examined the case have discovered some discrepancies. When the Soviet Union was still concealed behind the Iron Curtain in 1959, preventing any information from efficiently reaching the media or the outside world, an odd episode took place that still arouses interest and terror in people today. Known as the Dyatlov Pass incident, on February 1st and 2nd, 9 ski hikers ventured into the northern Ural Mountains with the goal of conquering the region that the inhabitants feared because of bizarre rumors and superstitions. Through their exploration of the area, these hikers sought to allay any concerns the villagers may have had and open up the area to future hikers who would come to take in the breathtaking scenery. Sadly, this choice would confirm the superstitiousness of the area and result in the passings of the 9 extremely skilled and knowledgeable hikers. The group's tent, which was set up on the slopes, was found abandoned and severely damaged on February 26th by a rescue crew. When it was discovered that the tent was ripped apart from the inside, it appeared confusing. It was as though the group had started to fear something and had torn through the canvas to escape. Following their tracks in the snow, the group's members' bodies were discovered in a nearby ravine. This discovery only added to the mysteries surrounding the group's disappearance, as most of the bodies were found only wearing their pants, as if they had fled into the snow's darkness without changing before they presumably froze. The idea of hypothermia was immediately called into doubt as the investigation went on and the bodies of the deceased were examined. Medical examiners found that every individual had internal injuries, which are frequently observed in automobile crashes or when a person is struck by a tremendous amount of pressure and force. This gave rise to the theory that the victims may have been attacked by a non-human power that was able to inflict such horrific force and cause their passings. Sadly, neither this idea nor any others like it can ever be proven or refuted. According to one of the most intriguing stories, the group met their end at the hands of a Yeti or Bigfoot-like creature that lives in the isolated areas of the Ural Mountains. Legends of a Yeti-like creature known as the Menk exist among the local Mansi tribe. Moreover, it is claimed to prowl the area where the incident occurred. Among the group's possessions was a well-known photo found on Nikolai Thibault Brignol's camera. There is an odd photo on a shot called Frame 17 that appears to depict a person that resembles a Bigfoot-type creature. Some people think that this figure was actually one of the hikers coming back from a higher area of the land, most likely trying to orient themselves. Given that it was the final photo Thibaut Brignol took, some individuals would interpret it more literally than others. The mysterious Zolotaryov photos. In addition to the previously mentioned reasons to believe Zolotaryov might not have been who he seemed, he and Brignols were both significantly better dressed than the others. Unlike the others, they all had inner souls of some kind in their shoes. This has prompted the question of whether they were specifically equipped with equipment that the others were not. According to other ideas, the two most likely departed the tent a little earlier than the other 9. Maybe they dressed in whatever they could find and went to relieve themselves. It was intended that they would return within a few minutes, but something occurred that prevented them from going back to the tent. However, Zolotaryov's camera on his body is interesting. He was still wearing the camera around his neck. Perhaps even stranger was the fact that this camera was not the same as the one he had with him the entire trip, which would eventually surface among the wreckage of the damaged tent. For whatever reason, the 11 images he took were mysterious and a little unsettling. They display odd flashes, unusual manifestations, and possibly most intriguing, glowing orbs. These mysterious photos were shared on social media, claiming they are proof of La Llorona. Social media users have described the footage of the ghost as the scariest thing they have ever seen, as it appears to be waving loudly from the treetop. Above the tree, a woman's ghostly figure moves. Terrified locals claimed that the ghost materialized in the middle of the day in a treetop in the Colombian community of Monitos, Cordoba. Along the banks of the river, under the dark canopy of trees, there wanders a woman in white. She cries out for her children, and some say, "If you bear witness to the whales, you are surely marked." Her name is Maria. Maria came from a small rural town in Mexico, and although her family was poor, her beauty drew men from all over. This included a wealthy rancher who, when traveling through Maria's town, immediately spotted her and knew he must have her. The man easily won her over, showering her with gifts and attention that she had never had. At first, the marriage seemed strong. Maria and the rancher seemed happy and went on to have 2 sons. It was not long after this, however, that things in her marriage started to change. The rancher continued to travel. Some say he enjoyed a life of alcohol and beautiful women. Others say he went back to his ranch. There were times where he would leave Maria and their boys for months at a time, and when he did return, his attention was only for the boys. Resentment began to well up inside of Maria, both for her marriage and her boys. One night, as Maria and her boys walked along the path near the river, it is said she spotted her husband in a carriage with a younger, wealthier woman. He stopped the carriage to have a few words with the boys, ignoring Maria completely, before continuing down the road. And it was then Maria finally broke. In a blind rage, she grabbed her 2 boys and threw them into the river. When she came to her senses and realized what she had done, it was far too late. She searched for them, but to no avail, for they had already been carried downstream. She ran along the banks of the rivers, crying out for her boys, knowing all was lost, as her boys were gone and there was no reason for her husband to return now. Maria then threw herself in the river. The people of Maria's village found her the next morning and buried her in a long white funeral gown. On that very night, La Llorona's sorrowful wails began. Down by the river, people began to see a woman in a long white dress, calling out for her children. People believe that she was denied entrance to heaven without her boys, and now she is destined to walk the riverbanks in search of them forever.